Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to this podcast here on NarcCon. Today, we're going to look at the subject of karma and the narcissist, when karma bites the narcissist. This is big on people's minds after a narcissist has tried to destroy them or a family member or ruined their lives financially or devastated them by cheating or living a double life or passing on a deadly illness knowingly. So many awful life-changing things that narcissists will do to other people, other human beings, because they lack empathy, which just boils down to they don't care about anybody else other than themselves in a kind of a self-serving, self-gratifying way. So we're going to get into this because a lot of people are very bothered by the fact that the narcissist seems to go off and be happy, and they seem to have a great new relationship, or they seem to have a lot of money and look like they've made it sometimes. So let's just really take this apart, because I can promise you the narcissist is living in a karmic energy that they can't escape from because of the way their narcissism is set up. They're trapped by their own illusions and illusory reality creation. They can never get to the core of themselves. Their true self is trapped inside. And while you may say, well, I don't care if the narcissist isn't happy or has trapped themselves inside, what they did to me was absolutely appalling, and I deserve justice for what they've done. So do they get their karma? Let's get into it. The first part of the narcissist's life is when, for whatever reason, whether genetic or whether the family they're born into, or for whatever reason, we're not going to get into that here, the narcissist dislikes intensely their true self and is thoroughly ashamed of it and disowns this beautiful soul that they were born with. So they cover it up by creating a false mask that they're going to live by. So that in itself starts the karmic cycle of destruction, never reaching the real beauty of the human existence, in that they can never be themselves. They always have to go through their lives with a structure around them, and their whole lives are dedicated to keeping that structure as firm as possible against life, basically. So that's when their karma starts. That's the narcissist's existence that they set up for themselves at the early stages of their lives. They have to become masters and mistresses of pretense and illusion, because they actually don't exist as a person other than the false self. So they're professional at creating illusions that are not true. And when somebody actually goes against that illusion, it can be shattered. It's only when people believe in the illusion the narcissist presents that the narcissist has any power at all. So the narcissist is totally dependent on people buying into the con they're selling of the false self. They're continually working at keeping that alive. When you see the narcissist telling you that you're a lesser version of a human and they're the more superior version of a human, nothing could be further from the truth. But the narcissist needs to go through life with their black and white thinking, putting somebody else down so that they can be up. It's pathetically simple and juvenile and base level existence. So they go off creating the illusion that you are no good. They're really good and they're going off to a happy life with a new person. Or in a workplace, or the family member chooses somebody else. What we must remember is the narcissist takes themselves with themselves. They're merely replacing you with an objectified human being. So they're selling you the idea that because you weren't good enough, the relationships didn't work. And the new person is good enough and that relationship will work and that person is making them really, really happy. Nothing could be further from the truth. They're going through the same cycle of entrapment within themselves, having to devalue that person because that person can't be better than them, and then having to leave that person or staying with that person and literally torturing them for their whole lives and taking the life force out of that person so that person becomes a doormat. Nothing is wonderful in the narcissist world. Like everybody, they will have they'll have some luck. They will have the good part of their cycle. But the karma they carry with them negates them from ever having anything good that lasts. I'm going to get into a story at the end of this podcast where we get to a narcissist successfully living their lives up to a point and the end of the narcissist life and how that looks. The narcissist and the empath. Narcissists, by their deeds, and their awful deeds, because by their nature they have to destroy in order for them to feel better about themselves. So their deeds literally go with cause and effect that everybody has. But they have a ripple-like effect of bad deeds that go out far and wide, just like anybody would. Another person maybe doing a lot of good deeds will have a ripple effect. And tell me if this has ever happened to you, but something you did a long time ago comes back to reward you. Say somebody leaves you something in their will because you helped a son of a son or a daughter of a daughter, or you were there for them in a certain time, maybe even just briefly. Or you get offered a job out of the blue, or you get invited to start a business with someone, or you get left a property. Just because you did something kind or good at some stage in your life. Well, it's exactly the same for the narcissist. They did something bad at some stage in their lives, and then they went chasing a dream, and that person stood in the way of that dream because they remembered what the narcissist had done to the son of a son. Narcissists have to move around a lot because the stench gets so bad that everybody begins to know the essence of the person. Even if people are still fooled to a certain extent or mesmerized by the false mask, they can see trouble following that person. They can see arguments, chaos, court cases. The narcissist has to keep up a certain level of drama, destruction, innuendo, gossip, flying monkey controls. So there's always a cloud over narcissists and what they do and where they go and who they speak to. And the stench is so bad that the narcissist eventually can't cover it up by spraying sweet perfume on themselves, and the predators come in. Even just the simple basic mathematics. If you do bad, I mean really bad, to say 5 people And 4 out of that 5 don't take direct consequences, but do spread the word about what you've done, or their family members know, and it becomes more widely known. 1 out of those 5 people in general is going to snap back or be in a position to snap back. We think because the narcissist is so needs to give you the illusion that they're extremely happy, they will actually go to the ends of the earth to spread that pure illusion that they've never been happier, they've never been richer, they've never been healthier, they've never had more power. And you can say, well, Paula, I know somebody who knows the narcissist, who knows that they're in a really good place at the moment. Can't last. They can't stay there. They're not able to hold on to something good. Another part of their karma is they lose good people. Because you get into a relationship with a narcissist, they present a false mask. They get you to fall in love with yourself because they mirror you back to yourself. But their actions belie the person that they present to you initially in the relationship. So eventually, most narcissists will lose good people. And the ones that may stick around them or may be attracted to them are other narcissists who admire the destruction and stand on that person to get into the position you want. And then 2 narcissists can work together to a certain extent and for even a long period of time if their aims align, if they're beneficial to each other. But it generally erupts into a chaotic, backbiting, destructive, explosive relationship ending, where there is so much destruction done that both narcissists are left exhausted on the battlefield of their own making. We're going to get to the story very shortly. Narcissists suffer from a block in their thinking that can't compute thoughts beyond the wall of their narcissism, if that makes sense. Because their narcissism controls every behavior and every thought process, they can't look at the grey matter and come down on the side of compromise or personal growth or, fair evaluation of another person's pluses and minuses, because they have to remain superior and in control. So they miss the nuances of life and the minutiae of life. It's black and white thinking. It's do or die. It's you're bad, I'm good. It's magical thinking that they're going to be the richest person in the world just because they are who they are, without having to work or just by being cleverer than anybody else and stealing somebody's idea or copying somebody. And in general, life doesn't work like that. And their karma comes back to bite them, because the more they expose themselves to become richer, the more people see through them. And they can't figure out why things aren't working out for them, so they blame everybody else. You can say then, well, Paula, some narcissists do end up rich. Well, I'll tell you what happens to the people or the narcissists that manage to hold on to their money. And God knows what they had to do to hold on to that money. They are feared and they are disliked and they are hated. And the people resent the control that narcissist had over them with money. And the people that the narcissist has control, has bought with their money, hate themselves because they've literally sold their souls to the narcissist for money and are controlled by the narcissist's money and giving to them. So there's no friends around the narcissist, even though the narcissist may think, I have your loyalty, I've looked after you in life, I've looked after you in life, so you owe me love and loyalty. That oftentimes isn't the way it works for the narcissist, because nobody likes being owned by somebody else. Some of the most powerful people in the world at the moment are narcissists. And they rule by dividing to conquer, by hatred, by putting the fear of God into people, by sending their minions out to bully and harass and destroy people's lives in the name of doing good. And I'm guessing you might know who I'm talking about. And you think, well, there's a narcissist who succeeded. Look at that powerful position they're in. They're only there now. Narcissists who get into positions of huge influence or exposure or become famous eventually unmask themselves or demask themselves because they feel so omnipotent. They begin to feel that they are God or the devil and they can do whatever they want. So they go further and further and further into the vile creature that inhabits the human form. And eventually, good people say, no more. No more. You're destroying everything that we believe in, everything we hold dear, for your self-gratification and your power and control. Karma will come and bite every narcissist upon this earth where the sun don't shine. You may not see it immediately, or you may be seeing it but not believing it because of the narcissist's ability to create the illusion that they've made the right decision by leaving you, by destroying you or trying to destroy you. They've bought a new house, they're with a new person, they're getting married, they're having children, new business, they're wealthy. You wait a few years. Or if you could possibly be a fly on the wall to see how that relationship develops. By God, you would not want to be in that person's position, the new person's position. And if the narcissist has the capability of pretending to a wider audience, authentically, seemingly authentically that they're happy, then there's somebody suffering for that at home, I promise you, in order to prop up the energy that it takes for them to appear happy. The closest the narcissist will have gotten to that is a feeling of being in the most control they've ever been or being the most empowered they've ever been. And then they can do happy better than they can normally give the illusion of being happy. And now I would like to get to the story of the empath and the narcissist. And this often happens in life. I think it more often happened probably in generations gone by, where people stayed together and divorce wasn't as prevalent. But it is still happening today, where you have a supremely empathic individual who is extremely well liked by many people, but they're addicted to a narcissistic partner who is not accountable, not responsible, who controls the situation through manipulating the super empathic person to manipulate others unwittingly. So the narcissist is the control center, and the super empathic person is who they work through by making the super empathic person feel sorry for them, saying, no one's talking to me, no one visits me, no one calls me. This is usually the narcissist as they get into older age and have less sources of supply available to them. So they are down to literally the last chips in the bag, the family members, the sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, whatever last outlet they have in an attempt to get attention and control. So you think, well, the narcissist has ended up fine. This person has looked after them all of their lives, been at their beck and call. They've been waited on. They haven't had to work. They can do what they like. Then they don't have to be responsible. They don't have to be worried about money. They get served their meals. I mean, unbelievably selfish. And then that person who has been a buffer to them all of their lives is no longer available, is dies or leaves, or the narcissist becomes very exposed. So the buffer is no longer there, and nobody wants anything to do with this person who has thrown their lives away. And that's a waste in itself. That's a tragedy. And you think that karma doesn't come to that person? Karma always finds the narcissist. Sometimes, when the narcissist isn't able to maintain the false mask, even in midlife, or sometimes in early life, if too many things come crashing down, and this happens to good people, like normal people as well, who don't seek to kill, steal and destroy other human beings. You can have a number of events all coming at you at the same time, a number of tragedies in life. And sometimes people can't cope with that. But people who have personally developed and who have a large degree of humanity in them and who are attached to other people in a healthy way, who can get real support from other people, who other people want to support, can get through a lot of these, when all calamities come together, dreadful times in life. Narcissists don't have that support structure in general, where people will really, they may have one person who's their constant, but generally when the false mask crumbles to that extent, they can go into crisis mode and decide to exit. I'll put it like that for YouTube's purposes. It's a fragile structure that is only made stronger by people's belief in it. So if people stop believing in the false mask, the narcissist is extremely vulnerable because it doesn't have the wherewithal. The self is not an adult. The self is a child who doesn't know how to cope without the belief and support of others in them. So just going back to people needing to see the narcissist get their karma, I would say to you to try your very best to focus on you getting your karma for what you've been through, what you've survived, and how you've maintained yourself through that battle, through that spiritual warfare that you've been through. And understand that karma does come, and good karma will come to you if you stick with it. Just as the bad karma will come to the narcissist. And it's not something that, if we seek to control it, it will eat us up. Let the quantum world, the sixth sense, the energetic karmatic world, leave it to work, because sometimes when we interfere with it, we stop a process that we can't see down the road coming. We prevent something from happening. We can go on our own smear campaign against the narcissist, and we end up looking bad and getting some of the narcissist karma that was due for the narcissist, because we've gone down the avenue that they have gone down multiple times, if that makes sense. So the old saying, like, give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves. But you interfering will stop will stop giving them enough rope to let them do that for themselves. There's so many examples. Well, one particularly good example is, in my opinion, the example of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and the way the royal family have handled that by not handling it, by letting them fall on their own swords, so to speak. That's what I have to say about karma for anyone that would like the opinion from Narc Khan on karmatic justice coming to the narcissist. I fully believe that when you smell as bad as the narcissist, the smell becomes so overpowering that nearly everybody wants to go away from you. And anyone that it attracts, that type of dastardly, dark, horrible smell, is more than likely going to be a predator. Or someone who smells just as bad and recognises the familial smell of narcissists. That's it for today. Please look after yourselves. And from Remy and from myself, we will say a good evening. Stay warm if you're anywhere like us. We're nice and cozy by the fire because it's a very cold day outside. So that's it for now, guys. We will see you again soon. Bye for now.